so why do I have this water right in front of the screen? Because I want to teach you the proper way of cleaning a paintbrush. You notice I'm not swirling this up like it is some scientific concoction. I'm stirring it up like it's chocolate milk. So I'm going to set it down. I'm going to move my painting aside so I can teach this to you because it's incredibly important. You're going to need this forever. Okay, so basically, as you know, a paintbrush is bristles, and the bristles are just like your hair. If you do not take care of your hair, it will fall out just like your bristles. They will fall out. So, you have a cup of water. You have your dirty brush in your water. You're going to pretend that this cup is filled with milk. And we just poured our chocolate into it. Not for real. Just pretend. So we have chocolate. And you know, when you have liquid chocolate, it like settles on the bottom. And it has to be stirred up. So you're going to take your brush and you're going to pretend it's a spoon. And you're going to swirl your brush along the bottom of your cup, just like you were trying to stir your chocolate milk. Now when you're done, do you do this? No, don't do that, because what you're doing is you're making the bristles go kunk, kunk, kink, and that's not a good thing. So what you're going to do is you're going to swirl, tap a few times gently. What that does is it shakes all the paint out of your bristles. Take your time working on it. Okay, don't just go swirl, swirl, done, because I'll show you why in a minute. So when you're finished, drag your brush up the side of your cup. Drag gentle, drag gentle. Take your napkin, gently dry. If there's color to this water, then it's not clean. Okay, gentle, gentle. Perfectly cleaned brush. Voila. Now there are sometimes when your water is just too full of paint. There's too much pigment in that paint. And pigment, I mean color. There's just way too much in there, and it's just, no matter how much you try, you're not cleaning your brush. You know what you do then? It's very, very simple. Go dump it out and get some new water. Ha ha. I know, simple. All right, so let's go ahead and get back to the painting. So I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to grab my painting back again, place it to where it's in a good spot for you guys. I'm going to glance at my video and make sure that I have it in a good spot. All right, and we're going to go ahead and get started with the next part. Remember how we had some brown in here in our well? These are wells. I'm going to add a little touch of white. Not a lot, just a touch. Ew, cool. Big old blob of paint. I call those boogers. All right, so now we're going to start painting the trunk of our tree. You're going to dip your brush in both white and brown. Okay, I did not dip up into the barrel. Remember, halfway up is all you need. And now, I'm going to use my pinky as a guide because my blue is all dry, but my green is not all the way dry. And if I put my hand in that, I'm going to smear it. That's not cool. So I'm going to take my pinky, I'm going to rest it on my canvas. If it's uncomfortable to you, hold your wrist. Or if you're good floating, float. But I like to use my pinky as an anchor. So I'm going to use little tiny brush strokes. And I'm going to start filling it in. Little brush strokes. Now you have those lines for a reason. Don't go out them. If you accidentally do, look, I'm going to grab both colors again. If you accidentally go out your lines, you remember what you do. You make it look like it was on purpose. So, oh, whoops. Go ahead and fix it. Okay, little brush strokes. Both colors at once. Little brush strokes. Why do I have you using two colors at once? Because a solid brown tree trunk is boring. To be all honest, I like to use two colors at once. I think it adds a depth to my paintings. And it just really makes it look super cool. So I make my students dip in two colors at once. It gives it a natural blend, and that's a cool thing. All right, so my tree trunk is just about done. 2 colors at once every time I dip it. And voila. Okay, ooh, I don't like that last little brush stroke I did. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, so I have my tree trunk done, and now I'm going to show you something real quick that's important. I'm going to use a napkin to show you. Remember when I was talking about this paintbrush? If you push on it hard, it's going to spread out the bristles. I want to show you something. I'm just going to dip in my brown. You don't have to do this. You can practice it if you want to, but I just want to make sure you see how this works. If you don't push on the bristles and use it more like it's a pencil, you can get a thin line. If you push on the bristles and drag, do you see how thick that line gets? Don't push, push. So, that's important when it comes to painting because sometimes you need that thick line and sometimes you don't. So keep that in mind when you're painting. Which one should you be doing? Should you put a lot of energy behind that brush stroke and really push down? Or should you just use the tip? Well, for this one, for these swirls, we're going to use the tip. Now, yes, I just put the painting upside down. Would you like to guess why I put the painting upside down? I'm hoping you guessed correctly, which would be because I don't want to put my hand in the wet paint. So I'm going to work from the bottom of the tree, which is actually the top of the tree right now in my perspective. I'm going to work from this side to this side. And these are going to be what I do last. Okay? So I'm going to dip in 2 colors at once. And I'm going to, now remember this is all dry. I can put my hand on it. I'm going to drag my brush over all of my swirls. That's why it didn't really matter too much if you painted or Sharpied the swirls or not, because they're getting covered over, but it does help to be able to see them a little bit better. So I'm just going to paint. I'm not bending my bristles, using it nice and straight up and down. I'm not doing this, because if I did this, I might end up with this, and that's not pretty. So I'm just going to work straight up and down with my brush. It is basically like a pencil. Use it like a pencil. If you're nervous about doing these, practice on a piece of paper for a little while. Practice makes perfect. Now remember, there's no mistakes in art, only happy accidents. So you just keep filling. Every now and then a little blob of white gets in there, and I love that. Once again, that's all part of that blended look. I think it looks cool. You look like you're the super duper blending superhero, but actually nature did it. They just mixed together and boom, you looked awesome. Alright, so let's see if I can get this done quickly. Look at that. I went off the lines. Boom. See, I'm not perfect either. Nobody's perfect. But you see what I just did? I kind of made it work. Now, when you got your paint, you probably were like, this is it. There's not a whole lot here. But, as you can tell, I have barely used any of my paints. In this painting, if I wanted to leave it just like this with no other parts, I could. And I used a fraction of my paint. Now once again, you're painting on a canvas and it's basically fabric. It's bouncy. It's just like a trampoline. It's made out of the same stuff that your shirt is. There are holes in it. It's all woven together. You'll notice that it was white when you got it. And that is because it's been primed. They prime canvases to fill in all those little tiny holes that come out of it being woven together. And it also gives it a nice white, clean surface. So your blues are blue and you don't have funky colors coming out. It's the true color of what you're putting down. Now the reason I'm working on this side is my Sharpie was showing. So I just took some solid brown and I'm just tapping that in, and what that's doing is it's making it look like it's a shadow. And then you just drag it out. Kind of cool, huh? Alright, so I'm going to clean that brush off. Swirl, swirl, swirl. Drag it at the side. Dry it off gently. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and pause this video so you can finish your swirls, and we're going to get back together for the next part, which is my favorite part. It's the decorating.